called Revenue Octopus. In my mind, this is one of the most fundamental elements of any entrepreneurial business plan, thought, concept, whatever. Entrepreneurial businesses are fledgling little babies when they first get started. And you have to organize your revenue streams, that's the money that flows into the business, in such a way that if there's seasonality and something isn't going too good over here, that something's going better over here. You want to make sure that you have multiple streams of revenue flowing into your business. So that doesn't mean you're doing a little stock market activity over here and a little real estate over there. That's not what it is. If you own a shoe store, you sell shoes. You also might sell accessories like shoelaces, and you also might sell shoe repair services. That's 3. Our guy, where we bought all our kids' shoes, had a gumball machine. And he took in a couple $1,000 in quarters, and that's what he did. That's how he did his family vacation. That was 4. And he probably had some more. Think about Starbucks. Anybody in this place patronize Starbucks ever? Okay, so let's think about this for a second, okay? Starbucks starts in Seattle, and somebody says, I got this great coffee. I'd like to sell it. And somebody says, wow, that's a great idea. I'll do it with you, and they go out and however they get started. So they go and they find a store and they sell coffee. And then they say, well, as long as we're going to have people who love coffee, we probably should sell coffee machines, right? And then somebody realizes, wow, now we're selling coffee machines. As the thing starts to mature, they're starting to kind of have like a lobby atmosphere. People are sitting in there, they're working. And now they realize they do an inventory of what do we really have? An asset is something that you have. What are our assets? How can we monetize our assets? I always ask the question, how can we monetize our assets? In order to monetize assets, you have to know what your assets are. So Starbucks looks around and they say, well, we've got locations, we've got customers, we've got recipes, they probably have a bunch of other things. How can we turn our assets into dollars? Well, we've got customers sitting here. Anything that customers will buy would probably be good for us. So they make an arrangement with somebody to sell Wi-Fi, and they get a cut. They make an arrangement with somebody to put credit cards on their counter, and they get a cut. Because they've got traffic, they've got customers, they've got things that other people want. And then Costco comes to them and says, hey, listen, can we sell your beans in 5-pound bags? And they go, wow, that's another way for us to sell our beans because we don't sell them in 5-pound bags. All right, fine. You can be the 5-pound bag seller of our beans. And it goes on and on and on. And that's how companies develop a revenue octopus. And you need to think about developing a revenue octopus because that is the way that you guarantee that your business will be successful. When I had my financial facts business, we had subscribers, we sold advertising, we did some consulting, we did training. We owned a fax service bureau so people could contract with us to send their faxes for them. We did custom programming. So we did a whole bunch of different things that people liked. They could rent our database because that was one of our assets. So we had 8 or 10 different revenue streams going all the time. And then the big one turned out to be, I took a hard look at our business and I realized we were sending tens of thousands of minutes or maybe 100,000 minutes every day of phone traffic. So I went out and I became a telephone reseller. I contract with one of those big companies, and then I installed my own T1 lines, and T1 was big back then. I installed our own lines, and guess who got paid for that? So you have to take a hard look at your assets, because your assets are what enable you to make money. When you have a job, what's the asset? It's just you. Just you. Which is okay, but you don't get very much for that. If you want to make big money and be productive and contribute to this environment in a big way and build buildings, then you need to figure out how you're going to parlay your assets, because assets is the name of the game. Let me just give you 4 categories of ways to make money, because this is very important. Draw a square and cut it into 4 pieces. Label them box 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are 4 kinds of revenue. Box 1, personal services. That's where you trade time for money. A job is generally time for money. You show up, and however long you're there, they pay you for that, and then you go home and you stop getting paid. That's how most jobs work. Probably 95% of people work that way. Box 2 is transactional. You still have to show up, but you have a chance to make more money because it's not entirely based on the clock. If you sell a business or you sell a piece of real estate, you're going to get a commission. You probably had to work a lot to make it happen, but you're probably going to get more than if you'd worked by the hour. If you're on any kind of commission, if you're any good at what you do, that's how it works. Box 3, here's where it gets good. Box 1 and 2, most people make their money that way. It's not the best way to make a living. Box 3, passive revenue. Passive revenue, that's where you set up a revenue stream. Subscriptions that newspapers do, once you make the sale, it pays again and again and again. All these multi-level deals are passive revenue. People love passive revenue. It's a real buzzword in the marketplace. People love it because once you work really hard to do it, you stop working and the money keeps coming. Or you kind of keep it going a little, but for the most part, keeps coming. But box 4 is the granddaddy of them all. It's assets. All wealthy people understand that their money makes them more money. Assets produce more assets. Now, when I was young, my dad used to say it takes money to make money. It does not take money to make money. It takes assets to make money. And you have to define your assets in a general way. Your database, your Rolodex, people you know, those are assets that you can monetize. Knowledge that you have. Collections that you have. Whatever you have. Could be an apartment building. That's easy to monetize. It could be a portfolio of stocks. Could be a company. Those are easy things to understand. There are also some intangible things. So be very clear that your revenue octopus is going to have the characteristics of these 4 types of revenue streams. You want to have 8 streams of revenue, and they're going to be a mixture of these 4 types of revenue. You got to get this because you're going to see it over and over. You might not have ever thought about the world this way, but if you learn to think about the world this way, you're going to quickly get what activities you want to spend a lot of time doing and which activities you do not. Because the box 1 and the box 2 activities are time sponges that will take up your whole day and leave you very little time for making real money. And all you'll end up with is a real salary, which is a real bummer.